Well, hey folks, it's your old pal King Waspinator, and welcome back to another episode of Extreme TTRPG News. Let's proceed now to a live field report. I said, let's proceed now to a live field report. What? What? God damn it, it's just on the road for 8 days. Could it possibly have like a couple of days off? Yeah, we've been off the air for like a week, and like all the numbers on the channel are down, so, we need to, make a report on Dungeons and Dragons or something. Do your fucking job. Okay, fine. Man, is there anything even going on with D&D right now? Like, are there, what's controversial today that hasn't already been controversy? Aren't most of these controversies already old controversies and not really news, like 99% of the time? Okay, well, I guess here's some food for thought. Perhaps we're all a bunch of ridiculous children. Yeah. There's real things in the world to be worried about, and even a lot of that's way overblown. Our society encourages everyone on both sides to just constantly wallow in emotion. And while those, emotions are good, they're fleeting. We don't really have any control over their manifestation. We can kind of clamp down on them after they're present. But in that moment of instigation, they are what they are. But I mean, seriously, we all just wallow in it. The left wallows in their emotions. The right wallows in their emotions. The people in the center wallow in their emotions. We all are just wallowing in our emotions. And some of the stuff that we're getting emotional about is just fucking ridiculous, guys. I mean, these are silly little role-playing games so that you can kill a couple hours on the weekend with some friends. And people are acting like it's the end of the world and shit. So I don't know. Having not heard any recent controversies while I was on the trip or since I've been back, I guess there's really not a whole lot of D&D content to be made. If we're all supposedly still angry at Wizards of the Coast, I will say that by extension, talking a lot about the OSR is still kind of giving D&D attention. And talking about all the old versions of D&D is still giving Wizards of the Coast attention. To say you're doing a video series about all the Beckme Gazetteers, or, you want to do some Dark Sun videos or something, based around, Birthright, Pick a setting that has not been rebooted. I don't know, Council of Worms? Okay, fine, whatever, we'll go with that one. See, here's the problem. Say someone's watching your video, and they, and you're talking about an older second or first edition or even basic D&D setting, right? Someone watching your video hasn't tried the old versions, and they're like, screw Wizards of the Coast and all the stuff they tried to do back at the beginning of the year about taking the OGL away from people and yada, 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 and trying to force everyone to pay $30 a month for a virtual tabletop experience and all that other kind of crap. Screw them. We want older versions of D&D. We want to play the classics. Well, guess what? Unless you want to search through eBay to try to find an actual used copy of an original printing, the only way to get a hold of these books nowadays is through stuff like DriveThruRPG, where you can get it as a PDF or you can get a print copy. But guess who gets the money for that? Supporting the old forgotten versions of D&D that modern-day Wizards of the Coast views as so problematic still puts money in Wizards of the Coast's pocket. And so, while I could certainly have much better views and viewer interaction and all that kind of stuff, if I was leaning into exploring some of these older D&D settings, in the end, you're still directing traffic towards Wizards of the Coast. And so that's why I've been trying to do more videos on World of Darkness, which was actually the game setting that I played the most when I was younger. I was a snob when I was a teenager and thought D&D was a kid's game, just like it is now. The only reason I got into playing 5th edition D&D is because it's the only fucking game you could advertise that people would show up to play. At least there for a while. Maybe things have gotten better, but since I'm living out in the middle of the country, it's not like I'm looking for random players on the internet anymore. I'm just kind of playing with whoever just happens to be living in the house, and we'll put up with it. But, you know, like, D&D isn't the only way. I am into role-playing games, not into Dungeons & Dragons. Making D&D videos is kind of a cynical thing to do because it gets the views, because the average people out there in the universe are morons who only know the basic bit shit. And, I'm just trying to educate people that there's alternatives. Unfortunately, you've allowed political posturing from strangers to convince you to not like thing A or like thing B. So whatever. As I say, we're all a bunch of idiot man-children who are constantly wallowing in emotionality one way or the other. And good Lord. Good Lord. We need to grow up. It doesn't mean stop playing role-playing games or any of that kind of stuff. It just means, like, stop taking all this shit so fucking seriously. Quit constantly trying to make controversies out of non-traversies. So there you go. There, you had your report from the field. Are you happy now? No. Not really. Do you have anything else to talk about? How was the trip? Oh, the trip wasn't so bad. We drove up to North Carolina, so, it was mostly on the highway, but I managed to finally make it further east than the Mississippi, which until previously I've never done. So, we drove through northern Louisiana, northern Mississippi, cut through northern Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, drove all the way across Tennessee, and then down Arkansas to get back here to where we are in East Texas. So I can, Shreveport's around the corner, so that's not a big thing, but I've now seen Jackson, Mississippi. I've now seen Birmingham, Alabama, which, good God, what a trashy city. Like, it looks nice, but they got these crazy LED lights on all their highway overpasses where it feels like the entire city's trying to be some sort of cheap casino. Atlanta was huge. But other than that, just okay, another mega city. South Carolina was boring. North Carolina was kind of a mix. It seems nice. The Appalachians, as I have heard, are pretty. But having, lived several years in Colorado, they barely seem like mountains compared to the Rockies. They're just barely taller than the hill country in central Texas, practically. But, that was cool. Tennessee's very pretty and chill. Arkansas is Arkansas. And so I guess that's the trip. I got a chance to run Pax Luporum for my 80-year-old mother-in-law. She's never got to play role-playing games, so I guess this was her one chance. So since I brought some of my rule books along, I just slapped a simple little scenario for her and my wife, where they were playing merfolk who were trying to convince the king of Syracuse to take Rome's side in the Punic War over control of Sicily. Just a simple little scenario. Played more like how you would do a disaster role play, if you were working for FEMA or something, as opposed to a traditional role-playing game. We didn't have a whole lot of time, so I wasn't going to go the whole, you get to town, and then you meet the bartender, and over here is an item shop. Instead, it's here's your characters, here's what you got to do, come up with the plan, and we'll just execute the plan. And then at least that way they had something that felt like they accomplished something significant, since their characters are the ones who, in history, helped Syracuse decide to side with Rome and ultimately become annexed by Rome down the line and all that kind of stuff. Yay. It's first time running my own game system. Ha everything, functioned as I foresaw it. It's very intuitive in its design, especially in terms of using psychic powers and stuff like that. It's just, choose something you want to do and set a difficulty. And if they're trying to do something complicated, make the difficulty high, and then they can't do it if you don't want them to do it. Or make the difficulty low if you want them to be able to do it. There's suggestions and guidelines, but, instead of having to stop and reference and see what all powers do I get if I put 3 points in this, There's none of that kind of stuff. It's just kind of more designed to be run on the fly, with minimal prep times, especially when it comes to having to teach the players the rules, because the rules are simple and easy to understand. So I guess by Pax Luporum or the Total Party Rule System or any of my other games, and you can experience that yourselves. It's perfectly functional. You just have to use your mind a little bit. These games aren't there to hold your hand and explain everything to you. They're for smart people. Simple rules for smart people. There we go. There's a catch line for you. Like, seriously, is there anything else to talk about?
Well, that can't be all that you did on your trip.
Oh, okay, well, yeah, I guess I sort of got, like, baptized as a Buddhist. Having a Buddhist nun as your mother-in-law, I guess, has its advantages. It's not like baptism in the Christian way. That's just the closest equivalent to the idea of taking refuge is. So I guess I'm even more of a Buddhist than before. Yay! Yay. I don't know. Anyway, I'm back. There'll be more content down the road. If something controversial comes up, maybe I'll talk about it. Stop being such emotional twats. Learn to enjoy your lives. Quit being upset all the time. Quit looking for the reasons to be upset all the time. This applies to all of you, not just one side of you. So I guess that's about it. Until next time. Turn the fucking camera off!
Return to the 3rd century BC and the very dawn of civilization in Pax Luporum, Werewolves of the Republic, complete with campaign setting sourcebooks for the island of Sicily and the island of Lesbos. Now available as a collected starter kit edition. Available now on Amazon.com and DriveThru RPG.